My special guest today is co-founder and pet lover in chief, as she's known, of Get Your Pet. This is Angela Marcus, and along with three other key members. So we talked about them in the first segment, Jeff Tucker and Brian Erickson. She's created this wonderful, wonderful system that it's going to be touted as the future of pet adoption. It actually bypasses the shelter setting. It enables those who are looking for a new four-legged or three-legged family member. I have to always put three-legged in there. And those that are at the point in their life, we see that a lot. The shelter that I work with locally, there's a lot of senior pets are given up for adoption. So by creating the system, and I'll let Angela talk about the system, I think it's a wonderful, bypassing of that stressful environment. As great as shelters are, and as wonderful as the people who run and work within the shelter system, it is stressful for their pets. So I think this is a great system. It's called Get Your Pet. If you want to know more about it, it's getyourpet.com. If you're a practicing veterinarian, they want you to partner with it. There's lots of... Angela talked about this website as being something they really wanted to key and make good. It's an awesome site. It's clean, it's simple, it's really easy to go through, and so getyourpet.com, so check it out. But Angela, why don't you tell our listening audience, what is this process? So go through this process of Get Your Pet.
Yeah, so getyourpet.com is the simple, smart, humane approach to pet adoption, right? It's a different approach than what we're used to. When you think about getting a pet, you have to go to your local shelter. Or when you want to find a new home for your pet, you got to talk to your family or friends and go to the shelter. But getyourpet.com changes all of that. So very simply, it's a win-win for everybody in the process. For people who need to find a home for their pet, they go on the site for just a few minutes. They fill out their pet's profile. They can upload a couple pictures. They can even upload a video, about 15-second video. And they tell us all about their pet and why they need to find him or her a new home. They also indicate a deadline. When do they need to find the pet a home by? So that deadline might be flexible. It might be, my mom passed away and I've just taken in her dog and, I'll keep him until we find him a new home because I don't want him to go to a shelter. But it also might be that, I'm moving at the end of the month and my new place is not going to allow me to take my dog or my cat. So once the pet's profile is listed, other people who are interested in adopting that pet connect directly on the site. They build their adopter profile for the guardians or the pet owner. We call them guardians on our site just because it may be, just the pet's guardian versus the pet that's been with this person for 10 years. So people who are interested in adopting can fill out an adopter profile. Pet guardians can review the adopter profile, decide if it's somebody they want to talk to, and they message directly through the site. So you see first names. It's fairly anonymous until you decide you want to meet up. You can ask as many questions as you like. You can talk about, his or her personality. And even when you're looking for a pet, there's a whole bunch of search criteria. You can search for pets that are friendly with children or have short hair length or have a low energy level or high energy level, whatever it is that you might be looking for. So there's a lot of search filters, and you can always save a search to be notified by us when a new pet becomes available in your area. So once a match is made, as it were, once they decide that they want to meet up, both parties agree, they pick a location. They can pick one another's home, or they can pick a neutral location like a local park. With cats, we often see people going to each other's homes. We always recommend you don't go alone, for obvious reasons. But with dogs, most people use a park or a local pet store or whatever the case may be. If they meet up and things go well, they can do one of two things. They can decide that, hey, this is the time. I'd like you to take Fluffy home and give it a shot, or I'd like to go home, sort of have him say his final goodbyes to our family, or we've seen all sorts of things happen. But the next step in the process is to introduce the pet to a veterinarian. So once the match is made and the adopter has decided, yes, this is the pet that I want to adopt, they schedule a follow-up meetup on our site, which is at a veterinary office, or it could be at another neutral location if they just want to exchange the pet, a week from today or tomorrow or whatever the case may be. But we do encourage and educate throughout the entire process that we want them to go to the veterinarian. We feel, at getyourpet.com, we feel it's very important for pets to be exposed to veterinarians as early in the process as possible. So they go to the vet's office, and the veterinarian provides a wellness exam, a rabies vaccination if necessary, and pretty much takes a look at the pet and says, yeah, I think this pet is healthy, or here's what you need to be aware of as a new potential adopter. And if the adopter wants to go forward, they indicate as much on the site. We have a whole series of prompts and messages that occur automatically on the site. And if they agree, the adopters charge $99. That's the adoption fee. And that gets them not only the voucher to be used at their veterinarian or the Get Your Pet veterinarian. So that is, if they didn't go to the vet, if they didn't follow that process, they can use that voucher at any time after the fact. They can take the they also get 30 days of pet insurance through Trupanion.
Oh.
They get all of their legal transfer of ownership documentation, so both parties receive that. So, if you need to transfer microchip information or something, you can prove that you, yes, in fact, actually own this pet now. And we're actually in conversations right now for a whole additional ancillary package of coupons and benefits through Pet Value pet stores. So it's a pretty good adoption package for a low fee of $99, which is really like a half or even 1/3 of what most shelters are going to charge.
Yeah, in my area, it's probably a quarter of what shelters charge.
Yeah.
No, that's a great deal. So I do have a question though, from as being a veterinarian, from the medical standpoint.
Sure.
So is it an option? So as a person, so say I was the one relinquishing my pet, is there a way of exchanging medical records? Is there a way of talking to that veterinarian? Like a lot of shelters will call us if our client is looking to adopt. Is that vetting system or whatever? I didn't know what exists with Get Your Pet.
Sure. So we have a whole series of educational resources on the site that are sort of peppered throughout both the guardian's process and the adopter's process. And one of the big things that we call out to them is make sure you request any previous medical records. And for the guardian, we say, make sure you talk to their existing veterinarian if they have one. And some people have never had a pet before, so they might not have a veterinarian. And believe it or not, that sometimes means that they can't adopt a pet, which is silly, because
Right.
you know what they're going to do. They're going to get a pet somewhere else that we don't want them to, like a pet store. So, use it as an opportunity to say, okay, well, if you don't have a vet here, we can provide one for you. We can recommend one for you. So, of course, we definitely encourage the adopter to request any other previous medical records. And if the veterinarian finds something on the physical exam, which may happen, it's up to the adopter. And we're there, like I said, through every step of the process. We encourage them, if you really want this pet, you need to be ready to take on the financial implications of owning a pet. If you don't want the pet, then the guardian continues and moves on to their next potential adopter. So we've been fortunate with the vast majority of the pets that are listed on the site. These are pets that people really care about. This isn't the pet that's going to be tied up out front of the shelter or dumped in the cat carrier out front of the shelter. This is the one that someone says, I care. I want to get him or her a good home. I'm going to use this service. And they're thrilled when they get the opportunity to meet potential adopters, and they know where the pet's going. And we have these two women who are just cracking me up. They keep saying, we have an open adoption, So the one woman had two little chihuahuas, and she's moving to England for work, and she couldn't take them, and she was able to find placement through getyourpet.com, where both of them were adopted together. Kip and Callie are their names, and they Skype all the time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite stories. But
yeah, especially with that quarantine for England, right? Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that. She didn't tell me that, but she just said she couldn't take them.
Yeah. There's, even if you can, there's a 6-month quarantine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they don't want rabies in England, so there's a 6-month quarantine. So even if you take your pet with you, it is a stressful process.
Wow.
It's a stressful process. Yeah. So that's for anyone going to England.
Good to know.
Yeah, good to know. But so we got about a minute left before the break, but how can a veterinarian get involved with this system? So to be that veterinarian that they go to and have that exam.
Sure. Well, you can go to getyourpet.com/vets to sign up to become a participating Get Your Pet veterinarian. And really what you're agreeing to is to be a part of our network. We'll send you all of the information via email once you sign up, but it takes less than 2 minutes. And we'd really love to be able to introduce our adopters to your veterinary hospitals because, like I said, it's so critical that the pets that are being adopted get introduced to a veterinarian. And I think we also all know, if you've ever worked with a shelter or rescue, sometimes their adopters are led to believe the pets are really healthy until you see them a year from now when it's like, oh yeah, that would be the worms that he's had for a year, the Giardia and the heartworm and everything else. But they told me he was healthy at the shelter. I believe me, my husband, I hear these horror stories. So the earlier in the process, I think it's super key. And like I said, we'd love to have as many vets in our network as possible.
Awesome. Okay, with that, we'll take a short break and we'll come back talking to Angela Marcus. She is the pet lover in chief of GetYourPet.com. You're listening to Your Pet Matters on 1077, 1077thebronc.com. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe button there. Or is it there? Or is it there? Just hit the subscribe button if you like what you see. Thanks.